hello to everybody. I think all of us are excited about the season, every coach here. The league top to bottom, probably never been stronger. Top heavy too, crazy. But anyway, questions. And I appreciate you asking about the clinic we're doing this weekend. We're streaming a clinic, trying to do something for the first time, worldwide. Got a couple countries already signed up, got 25 states already signed up. Going to do a clinic, streaming it, where coaches around the country and around the world can tune in. Going to make it a little different than the clinic I've done in the past, but just, you know, I've had a lot of coaches come in and watch us and say, wow, this is different, and it gives people a chance to see. If they want to see how we do it, I imagine people say, why would you share your stuff with other coaches? Maybe coaches that you're going to compete against. I'm at that age, I don't think if they can do it better than I do what I'm doing, I don't think any coach is going to change how they play watching my clinic, including a high school coach, but they'll take something and they're nuggets. So that's on it. Have no idea how it's going to come out. There's over, I think there's 80-some coaches signed up for the stream right now. It's been out for 48 hours. We just put it out. And I would imagine it was a great question to start this thing off with.
Okay, next questions. We'll start in the front row. Johnson.
A lot of times when we talk about the potential of the league, you're talking about protecting how talented freshmen are going to do. But how much does this league, confidence in this league, based on just the number of talented upperclassmen in the
Normally it's both, and I think we have both. I think we have some really good incoming freshmen, and I think we have some terrific veterans that have had an impact on the league, and a big impact. The teams that won the league last year have a lot of returning players. And we finally have a couple returning players. It's been a while. I have a player that's a grown man. The other day I told the team, you know, they were asking me, well, you know, one of the kids, you're not saying enough good things. I said, wait a minute. I never talk about Emmanuel, and I really never say much to Reed because he's my age. I mean, what am I going to say to him? So, but it's nice. PJ's way better. Quad A's way better. Nick's not even the same person. People have come in and watched him, and they're like, is that really Nick Richards? Like, and it's how he carries himself. And the same with PJ. All three of them have to continue to be more consistent with their skills to build even more confidence, because I can't give it to them. Me saying it doesn't happen. But if they're more consistent, it doesn't mean make every shot, but it means you're shooting it the same way. It means when you drive, you're consistent with what you're doing. It doesn't mean you never turn it over, but you're consistent. The ball just doesn't get away from you every fifth time. So all those things are what they're working on, but like I said, I'm excited. I literally haven't raised my voice since we started, and I've had probably 3 or 4 teams that way that I haven't had to raise my voice all season because they brought it, they competed. That's how this team is. So it's been fun to coach them. Yes?
Back right with Myron.
Yeah, he was one of the most important voices of college basketball. And there were a number of transfers. A lot of coaches call it epidemic. I'm wondering if there's been happening in New York in the FBI trial. Is cheating an epidemic in college basketball?
What's going on is a black eye. My hope is that all that's going on pushes in the outliers. Like, let's get this right. Part of that's going to be stiffer penalties. You know, part of it's going to be all that's going on. Who's listening? Who am I talking to? It's going to bring outliers in. Though it's very important. If we have selective investigations and selective enforcement, it's not going to change. It's got to be, here we go. We're blowing through this. Here's what we heard. This is how we're doing it. That's my belief. Now, again, I haven't followed the thing. I've been running like crazy. But I'm anxious to see, okay, what comes out of this? Where is this going?
Okay, next question on the right, front row.
3 of the coaches have said that you're either underrated or don't get enough credit. The other one said he stole one of your ideas. As a Hall of Fame head coach, do you feel like you why is that?
I don't think so. Does anybody here think I can't coach? Put your hands down. I have a thing on my wall. I've had it on all my coaches' offices. It says, coach your team. So that becomes like clutter for me to worry who thinks I can and can't. And the only thing I can tell you is every day I'm trying to make individuals in a team better. And 30 years from now, I think people will look back, 40 years from now, and they'll evaluate us all. And you just hope every day you're trying to do the right stuff. But that evaluation won't be me, and I'm not trying to impress anybody. If you wonder why I don't call timeouts late in the game, I want my kids to do it. I'll call it if I have to, but I'm not calling a timeout to run a fabulous play to show you guys I can coach. It's not how I do this. And let me tell you why. Timeout! All right, come on over. All right, here's what we're running. We're going to get it, and we're going to do this to get it in. You got it? Now look how we're getting it in, because they're going to pressure us a little bit. Now, you know you don't have like 6 minutes. All right, we're going to go, and in the man-to-man, here's how we're going to run this, and we're going to get this guy, and this is what, you guys ready? It goes over. What do you mean? Well, if they go zone, how we get it? Just go in and shoot the ball. I mean, it's not as easy as you think, and if you practice it, and you're going over it, you could tell them what you want, and the other coach is not involved in it now. Why a chance to talk to this team? That's how I feel. Is that a genius move? Maybe dumb. But that's how I do this. Because I'm not worried about, well, they're going to write that I just ran a great play. Could care less. We're trying to help kids get better and win.
Next question, front row left.
Coach Calipari, I know graduate transfers become more common in college basketball, but you have to rebuild your team every year. A lot of great high school talent. What did you see in Reed Travis that you thought would fit into your team, and how he would? How did you envision him at this group you brought in?
Well, let me, first of all, I've been pretty adamant. I don't like the rule. But the rule was major college teams going and taking mid-major players. The problem with that is coaches were getting fired because of that. They were getting fired. Second part of it was, for me, none of the players that did it, you're better off staying where you were. You didn't really better yourself. You didn't get drafted. You didn't, none of it, other than the ego to say, I'm at so-and-so. But with Reed, it was different because it was like, why would you want to do this? Because I've done it, I'm all conference, I'm doing it, and I'm draftable. It's not working for me personally, and I want to do this. Okay, you know what my second question was? That's good. Now, what if you, instead of averaging 20, you're averaging 13 or 14? Are you okay with that? Yes. You average rebounds. Be selfish. Get 15. Get as many as you can get. But he understands. What he's doing right now for this team, for himself, we gave him 4 things that he'd have to do. This is where we're going to try to take you personally. Not play you at a 3 and you're LeBron and no. These 3, 4 things. The second thing is I told him one of them, you got to lose weight. You're 262, you got to go to 245, 240. He goes to 245 and I said, you think 5 more pounds maybe? And he shrugged and I said, what's your body fat? He said 5.4. I said, geez, we'll have to take a kidney. I mean, he is, as far as the team, he comes every day. He talks and communicates. If you've ever played this game, it's the hardest thing to get players to do. Yet he's not trying to say, this is my team. He's letting this thing play out, which is really good for all of us.
Okay, next is back with the TV cameras.
Coach, what can you say about the program that Rick Barnes has built a couple hours south of you? Can you maybe speak to the higher stakes of those games against Tennessee this year?
Well, you all know I look at Rick like he's a brother. Let me say this, older brother. But he's helped me throughout my career. I remember I was at UMass, and my team was the worst defensive team in the country. And I sat down with him, and I said, Coach, I need some help on this. He said, well, tell me what are you emphasizing? So I tried to tell him what I knew, and I tried to say like 25 things. I was just thinking things as I go. And he bust out laughing. He said, what are the 4 things you're trying to emphasize? Because all this doesn't matter. And he got me to focus defensively on a few things. And today, that still helps. From that conversation, my teams defensively have always been pretty good. But when you look at him and what he does and how he brings people together and his demeanor as a coach, you know how good he is. And on top of it, a great guy, like a good human being. And so Tennessee's got everything. They got a great coach who can recruit, who's, you know, and it's playing, you know, when we play them, here's how close we are. I didn't know they beat us 3 times in a row. They beat us 3 times in a row. I had no idea. I just knew after the game I was sad and he was happy. I didn't know. But, you know, and then he says, yeah, but you beat us in the tournament. And I said, by the way, that was the most important one, just to let you know that. But he's a good guy and a good coach.
We have another one back at the TV cameras.
Coach, some experienced bigs down low, and then you add the fact that you have a complement that you didn't have last year and some good shooters. Is this one of your better shooting teams? And also, how nice is it to have those guys being able to hit big shots and open up the floor?
Well, they haven't made big shots yet. I've always had a lot of shooters. I just haven't had many makers. And now it appears as though I got some makers. And, but let's start playing games and see. I like the fact that we're physical. I like the fact that we're still long. I mean, you know, but we're a work in progress. And again, I don't want us too far ahead. I don't want us playing in November like it's January. So slowing down doesn't mean we're not practicing hard, but a lot of it is more trying to create individual and group habits. And then we scrimmage. But we're not scrimmaging as much as this team could at this time of the year. Do you all know, what's the date today? 17th. Is it the 15th or the 17th? Is it 17th? Oh my gosh. Well, this is about the time we used to start practice. This time right now. And I can tell you, my team is so far beyond that because of the Bahamas trip. We had 10 days. We had 4 professional teams we played. We didn't play bad teams. I mean, we played real teams. So we had a lot of time to get this thing started.
Okay, on the left side, second row, Gentry.
Coach, a few of the returning players last week suggested that how much better the team gets along this year than maybe last year or the year before. Do you think that was an issue last year, your personality conflicts, that kind of thing?
Every team you have, there's different personalities, and it's hard when we're doing what we do, which is a new team, bang, here they go. They don't know each other. They're trying to get along. And I don't think so. You know, if I'd have coached better, we probably would have beat Kansas State, which means maybe we'd have been in the Final Four playing for the national championship. But you know, this team they're more comfortable in their skin than where they are individually. They're gym rats. I mean, literally, there's 5 and 6 guys a night in our gym. They're gym rats. They love it. They love being in there. So this team probably, we had 5 freshmen start last year. Everybody trying to figure out who they were individually makes it a little bit harder.
Okay, in the middle, second row, Jerry.
John, there's so many players that tested the waters and decided to come back. What sort of impact do you think that can have on the league, the quality of basketball, with so many guys gearing NBA advice, things like that?
No, I think returning players are going to make the league better. They've been through this, and you know, that they're trying to help their team win, yet they're trying to help themselves and their families. But it should make us better.
Okay, on the left side, third row.
Yeah, among those returning players, a guy who was the first team, and Chris Silva, he's faced him now for 3 years. What's the challenge that he brings to you guys not coming back for the fourth time?
Well, he's relentless, just a relentless player, and if you're not relentless, he beats you. And so our guys will know better going against him. If you're not ready for the dogfight you're about to get in, you're losing. But even that being said, you could be ready, and he's still going to beat you to balls, create baskets, create opportunities for his team, second and third attempts, getting a basket out of nowhere. Frank's done a great job with him.
On the right side, second row.
Hey, Coach, you obviously coached a lot of the league NBA guys. I'm just wondering what you think of Daniel Gafford, what you thought of his season, and maybe
Who?
Daniel Gafford in Arkansas.
He could be special. I mean, he's one of those guys. But again, I haven't seen him now in a year, but he is a special, skilled, all the things that he does. You know, I had one from down your way in Malik Monk, and I can tell you that was the best compliment. Just special. Just a special, has some things that the normal human does not have.
Front row in the center.
Another player voted first team, Tremont Waters, had a triple-double against you guys last year. What makes him difficult to defend? And then being as small as he is, how does he project to the next level professionally?
You probably have to talk to the NBA about that, but I will tell you that he is a competitor. He's not afraid. He wants to take on challenges. He's playing against Kentucky. He brought it, and I thought had one of the great efforts against us all last year. Plus, he can score the ball. Like, he can really score different ways. Crafty. He's a good player.
Okay, far right, front row.
What's your approach if you're dealing with a recruit and there's a parent or a guardian or a handler that you don't feel good about? Is it
We walk. We walk. We walk. No, we just walk. We're out. I'm not going to deal with it. And I think when we walk in, we make it clear how we do this and what we do and don't do, and so it never comes up. But here's what I would say. If my staff is uncomfortable with what it is, there's other kids. We're going to walk. But I'll say this to you guys. It's not always just somebody asking for something or insinuating something. It could be this one. A kid disrespects his mother or his grandmother. I walk out immediately. Because if he's disrespectful in that way, how's he ever going to respect me or our institution or the people that we all work for? He's not going to have that kind of respect. If I see a kid that doesn't even think about making anybody better, and my staff will come back and give me all his stats, we walk. So the thing that Kentucky's not for everyone, we do not get everyone that we start recruiting. Some of them we walk away from, some of them they walk away from us. And it's, you know, you're not promised anything. I'm not promising you start. I'm not promising you shots. I'm not saying you're going to start from day one and you're going to play 30 to 35 minutes. We are going to showcase you and you're going to be that guy. And then you're going to leave after a year. I don't do that. And I'm telling most of these kids, you're going to have to stay in school probably 2 years. After one, if you're able to go, go. Let me shift this, because I want everybody to understand, because I'm going to be talking directly to everybody here versus through somebody. One and done has not been bad. Has not been bad. Now, other people have tried to coach those guys, and they've struggled, and some of them have gotten fired. But that doesn't mean that doing it is bad. It's been good. Tell me how many one-and-dones went to the league and didn't do well. They have a year under their belt. They're prepared. How about this one? How many kids went for one-and-done because they had to get their academics right? You ready? They went and thought they were going to leave after a year and couldn't, and stayed in school. And some of them stayed 4 years, which is why we have the highest graduation rate and the highest graduation rate of African Americans in the history of the NCAA. No one will print it. None of you will probably print it. That's a fact. So my thing is, I'm for kids that should leave. How do we work that out? If they need to leave, but it's going to be 4 or 5 guys a year, 6. How do we encourage the others? You need an education. You may make it, you may not. That's my issue. I spoke about what I spoke the other day. So here we are now, because of this issue, we're saying none of these kids belong in school. It's not true. I've had 5 students that are straight A students. 5. You're telling me they don't belong on campus? You're looking from an ivory tower, looking at how people dress and how they look and saying, none of them belong on a campus and none of them want to be here. Well, let me just say this. When I was 14 or 15, I didn't want to school. I hated school. I liked the camaraderie. I liked going and messing around. But all the other stuff was hard. And my parents said, you will get a college education because they didn't have one. And now I make it. My parents forced me to go. And you know what? I was forced to do it, and then I did it, and then I kind of liked it, and then I was a Prop 48 coach. They made me sit out the first year when I was hired. They said, you're not smart enough to start coaching right away. But I say this all to you and say, what we're doing, how do we evaluate and help get the information to the 4, 5, or 6, or 7 that should go and get the others to go to school? Right now, I'm reading tea leaves, and the people that know me know this guy reads tea leaves pretty good. I'm reading tea leaves and saying, we're trying to force all these kids off college campus because none of them belong here, and they should go straight to the G League. Really? And all these kids go to the G League, and 93%, my guess, tea leaves, what do we do? They're roadkill. They're killed. What do we do with all those kids? You want to tell me the demographics of those kids? You tell me the demographics of what those kids are, where they came from, who they are, what do they look like? So my thing is, if we're going to go down that road, if we're going down that road to encourage that, those kids should be like minor league baseball. I should go down this road. But the tea leaves are telling me we are, because it's getting pushed from the people on the campuses, and it's being pushed from people that want these kids and have more control over them, and that's what it led to. Versus, you need to get your act right so you can go to school for a year and you can get ready. And then all of a sudden they stay in school 4 years. So here's my point. If you want to treat it like minor league baseball, give them 8 semesters of academics. 8 semesters of scholarship guaranteed when they're done playing. Some of them it, some of them won't. You last or two and you know you were fooled or you're not, now go to school. Let them go back to college. And then we'll make them sit out a year, let the NBA pay for them, and then let them start playing after a year. Why would you try to end a kid's career when you're the one that influenced them to leave, and he was 13 and 14, his mind wasn't even developed to make it. Well, his family, you just, do you know the demographic I'm talking about? That's what I said. I don't think we should be forcing kids to the G League. But if you're going to do it like I said. Why are these kids? PJ, how many people told you, PJ, you're oh, yeah. So here's what I'm saying. If you're drafting in the second round, make your choice. You want to go to the pros, you want to go back to college. Now the NBA team is going to say, I'm not drafting you unless you're in the second round. I'm a second round pick or a second round pick. Now they're going to be sure. And then it puts a kid in a great negotiating position if he decides to stay. Do we really care about the kids? Do we? Are we looking at this through their glasses and their families? Have you ever been in those homes? Have you ever seen the decisions? Do you guys like it when I do this? And me reading the tea leaves, me saying this. My guess is within 5 years we'll know if this is the case. I hope it's not. But if it is, I'm on the right side of history and say he said it's happened this way. And I've been wrong before. When 1978, 77? Might have been 78, 1978.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
And then the clinic. Now, it's mainstream. The coaches know from your area, high school, women's coaches, we're going to have some fun. It's going to be the best clinic ever. Thanks.